What's up, everybody? My name is Justin Glover, and you are listening to episode number 116 of the Results 513 show. The show where high-performing entrepreneurs go to step into their power, take their life and business to new levels. Our next guest is the host of the Fearless and Healthy podcast, the creator of fearlessandhealthy.com, and he helps people who are sick of being average, helps them make life transformations. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking with Ian Ryan today. By the way, if you have not done so, do yourself a favor and run over to results513.com/show. Download the free gift that we've put together for you. It's called the 15 Must-Have Tools to be insanely productive in your business. Finally, if you want a raw behind-the-scenes look at the Results 513 show, you can follow me on Snapchat. My username there is Justin Lee Glover. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Before we start every show, we take 18 seconds to have a quick gratitude dance party. So as the music plays, think of one thing you're grateful for right now. 3, 2, 1.
When you fail, that's just going to get you closer to where you want to be.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Results 513 show. Our next guest is the host of the Fearless and Healthy podcast, where he interviews high-performance coaches, inspiring entrepreneurs, all about how to get over the fear of following their dreams and tips for living a more healthy, more confident, and more inspiring life. Ladies and gentlemen, we are chatting with Ian Ryan today. Ian, brother, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Justin and Brenda, I'm happy to be here and excited to chat.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Brenda is here with us as well. Brenda, you want to say hello?
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Yep. So one thing that, paint us a picture real quick. Where are you at, Ian? What are you seeing? Are you sitting down, standing up? What's around you? Give us an idea of what you see right now.
I am sitting down in my living room in sunny San Diego, and I'm ready to rock.
Nice. Sunny San Diego. I like that. Are you from San Diego?
I'm actually from Washington, D.C., so I moved out here December 1st, got so sick and tired of the cold. Well, I'm a beach guy, Justin. I can't do the cold winters. And, after about 30 years of those, I decided it was finally time to come out here and see what the beach life is all about. So I'm enjoying myself. Weather's beautiful, and it's a great city.
Awesome. My wife and I are beach goers as well. We love the Caribbean. And if I had to pick a place in the U.S. that is similar to that, San Diego would be it. That's sort of the ultimate weather year-round for us. So I'm a little bit jealous at the moment.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff out here.
Very cool. So one thing that we like to start all of these interviews off with is we like to talk about gratitude. So looking back sort of over your journey, and we're going to dive into that here in just a minute and then get into some specific questions, because you've done some really amazing things, and we want to talk about what those things are. We want to really get inside your head to find out how you've actually accomplished those. So before we go into any of that, one of the things that we like to do is start with a little bit of gratitude. So looking back over your journey thus far, if you had to pick just one thing that you're the most thankful for along that journey, who or what would that one thing be?
You know, Justin, I'm grateful for so much in my life, but if I had to boil it down to one thing, it'd be my mother. You know, she has been my rock. She has been supportive through everything I've done. And I've gone through a lot of stuff, you know, especially over the last couple years. I just don't know what I'd do without her. You know, she's, I guess you could say, a little bit of a mama's boy over here, you know, whenever I need someone to kind of, you know, bounce ideas off of or talk to. She's been there for me. So I'm just super grateful for her.
Awesome. So was she an entrepreneur? Tell us a little bit about like your background. Did you grow up as an entrepreneur? Did that influence come from, you know, your folks, or did you come from was it more corporate world? Like, tell us that version of the story.
Absolutely, entrepreneur in the family. You know, my mom and dad were both entrepreneurs. They owned a ticket event company where they did events for Super Bowl, Final Four, you know, any sporting events and concerts that you could possibly think of. they started that company before there was things like, eBay and StubHub where you could get these tickets. So, brokers were actually a big deal back in the 90s, and they built a multi-million-dollar company, did very well, ended up having to get rid of that once StubHub and eBay came along, and now my mom works more in the corporate setting, and my dad, he does a little day trading, but that was definitely, where I got it from. They always influenced me to do my own thing, and they always encouraged it. My dad always said, he's like, my dad always told me this when he was waiting tables at like 26 or 27. He said, Ian, all I wanted to do was own my own thing. I didn't have to make a bunch of money, but I wanted to be in control and not have to answer to anyone. And I always say, I'd never take anything away from people that are in corporate jobs and they're happy. That's a beautiful thing. If you love your job, you love your job. But I know for a lot of us, it's more about, finding something that we actually like to do. And as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you're able to do exactly that. So he was a big influence in my decision to pursue entrepreneurship. And it's definitely been a rocky road, man. A lot of bumps and bruises along the way, which we can definitely get into. But, after leaving the corporate gym setting at about 22, I started my own business, and it's just been, one thing after the next ever since.
It's great to hear you actually attribute that to your mom and your dad saying those things just on a personal level. I have 3 girls, and it's definitely, and I didn't know anything about this entrepreneur stuff growing up at all. And so I've definitely tried to, inspire them and, share with them that they can do anything, and who wants to be in charge of this, or do you want, and just asking them those questions. So it's kind of neat to hear you say that that's one of the things that influenced you, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah. So you're just saying the fact that, there's been bumps and bruises along the way. And I don't think we've really had anybody that's had a smooth sailing ride and everything worked out perfectly for them. But if you can share just a little bit, like when you were getting started on that entrepreneurial journey, the first time that you really went out, did that work for you? Did the bumps and bruises come afterwards? Like, kind of share with us about maybe that story about when did these results come, and how did that happen, and the failures that you had, how did you get over them?
Well, let me start by saying that every single failure that I've had has somehow contributed to me achieving some level of success down the road. And, I'll start with, I was a general manager working for a fitness company when I got out of college. I worked every position you could possibly imagine in the fitness industry, and I got sick of it. I felt like I couldn't really share all of what I was passionate about. I felt like I was sheltered. There was always someone looking over my shoulder. So I knew it was time to finally try my own thing. And I was like, I know so much about fitness. This will be so easy. I'm just going to put up a website and I'm going to start this personal training business in my hometown. I was still in DC. So I built it and nothing, right? I realized that I knew absolutely nothing about marketing, especially online marketing, how to run a company, really how to do anything in terms of running your business. I always had a manager looking over my shoulder, and I could do sales, but I needed to be given a blueprint, a roadmap. When you're an entrepreneur, a lot of times you try to take everything on yourself and you don't know where to start. And you realize really quickly, like, wow, maybe I'm not as quite as smart as I thought I was. So I learned a lot along the way. And, I really just dove in. I took that scary leap. Luckily, I had some money saved up. And I started a personal training business out of my garage, guys. That's where I started, right? That's where all the best companies start, they say. And it certainly was not the best company, though, unfortunately. But, I built a little business for myself. I turned it into a corporate fitness business where I did small group training in the city. And I really learned a lot about myself during that time. It was humbling, and I realized, wow, like there's a lot more that goes into this than I thought. And I failed a lot, and I had months where I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. And it was a struggle, but I met so many people. I took a lot of action. I did a lot of things that I would have never done had I stayed in that job. I learned a little bit about internet marketing. I learned how to build websites, put my business online. So man, it was just such a great experience. Eventually, I got a little burned out on the whole training aspect of it. And I decided to finally launch a podcast and take this thing online and build out my online coaching program And I feel like this program that I'm now in the midst of really putting together has been like 8 years in the making, something that I thought I was going to be able to do at 22 or 23. And I realized like, wow, like this is a lot more difficult than I thought. But it's been an incredible ride, an incredible journey. And, I can't wait to see what's next.
We hear those people say the phrase, overnight success. And so I'm just, I was talking to, I believe it was an interview I did with Justin Brooke. He said, I'm just waiting. He was like, because there was, I think it's like 8 or 9 years to building this one thing and lots of ups and downs with it. And he was like, I'm just waiting for the little kid to come up and say, that was an overnight success and hope I don't punch him because it's not like a 10 year is like, it's a 10-year overnight success. So one thing that you mentioned, you said that there was a lot of, there's some times when you couldn't pay your bills for months. And during those low moments, I like to get inside the entrepreneurs that we talk to, sort of get inside their head and find, like, was there a time when you considered quitting or just giving up altogether or turning around or throwing in the towel or whatever? Is that inside of you? Did that happen? Like, was there a time when you considered just stopping? And if so, I'm curious, what did you do to move forward? Obviously, you did not quit, which is great. But what did you do to pull yourself forward?
Well, I'll tell you, I had days, days where everything was going wrong. And I'd be like, man, I'd really start doubting if I was going to be able to have any type of success with this, and I doubt whether I made the right move. But I never thought about quitting. I don't know. I just don't have like an ounce of quit in me. If I make a decision, I'm all in. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to tweak, pivot, or maybe like, steer in a different direction. But I was in, like I decided to quit my corporate job. And there was no way that I was going back to that, Justin. It just, wasn't in the cards for me. I was going to figure it out. So no, I never considered quitting. But let me tell you, there was so much self-doubt about whether I was going to be successful. And you know what? There's still self-doubt today. I still have fears. I still fail almost on what seems like a weekly basis, honestly. But, the truth is like, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I really couldn't. I love being able to create. I love being able to, connect on my terms and really just, do things as an entrepreneur would do, as opposed to having someone look over my shoulder all the time. So, no, I wouldn't say that I've ever considered quitting, but there's definitely been a lot of fear and failures along the way.
I love how open you are and just how candid you are about the fact that, like, yeah, I fail all the time. Because so many people are even maybe scared to admit that or feel like it's been a failure. And your outlook is just like, well, look, that's what's gotten me to where I am. Every failure had this amazing positivity result that came forward. And, I have that outlook too. And I love that you're able to share that with so many people listening, because it's really just the perception of what you're perceiving that's happened. So that's really great. And I want to ask you, so over the years for you to have this belief right here, to realize that it's, you're not going back, and you had all these self-doubt, what type of success beliefs or internal personal beliefs did you have to adopt in order to become this person that you are today that has this type of outlook?
Well, at the beginning, there was a lot less confidence. A lot of people around me have always told me I give off a very confident persona. But let me tell you, inside, there was a lot of self-doubt. I didn't have much confidence in my ability to really succeed. So that was built up over time, and just trying new things and failing and realizing, at the end of the day, like a lot of times when you fail, that's just going to get you closer to where you want to be. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. And you really have to look at that failure as a lesson, right? And see how you can tweak things in your next move. Sometimes, people put an idea out there and it doesn't work out and they're like, wow, I'm never doing that again. And you can't go into it with that attitude. For example, I speak a lot now and, I do a podcast and I'm very comfortable talking to people, but that was not something that I was comfortable with before. I rember being terrified of public speaking. My first speech in college was an absolute disaster. I was sweating. I had to chase down the professor to give me another chance. That's how much I feared that. But I went into Toastmasters, and I practiced and I became better. So I think being resilient, realizing that the first time you do anything, you're never going to have it all figured out and be successful is the key. Where people get it wrong is they try something once and then it doesn't work out and they don't give it a shot again. So they never get a chance to build that confidence. So I think what really helped was me following so many successful entrepreneurs and hearing them preach this story over and over and really opening up about how many times they failed along their journey. And that helped, right? And surrounding myself with people that they were after something. So when I needed a vent or when something wasn't going wrong, I could bounce ideas and get stuff off my chest. And then honestly, the real catalyst where I was just like, you know what, I'm going all in no matter what, was when my brother passed away in January of 2015. That just took things to a whole new level because it made me analyze life on a deeper level. And it gave me great perspective. It made me think about the fact that none of us are promised another day on this earth. So why not go in 100%? And, when you're looking at your brother passing away and realizing that, you could be gone tomorrow, that just puts things into perspective. Why not try ideas? Who cares if people laugh at them? At the end of the day, I just want to inspire people that, want to take in my message, and the other ones that, they don't want to hear it. That's okay too, but I'd rather go all in.
I love that. So, and that's a great takeaway for the listeners too. I mean, super beliefs that will take you a long way. Now, you talk a lot about this on your show, right? You have the Fearless and Healthy podcast, which, by the way, if you're listening, go check it out. It's an awesome podcast, fearlessandhealthy.com. You talk a lot about this with people on your show, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We get into a lot of the fears associated, with taking things to the next level, whether that be in your health and your business. So it's been super inspiring and super interesting to get so many people's perspective on just this.
Awesome. Love that. So one question that I've got, as you look back over your journey, sort of the reflection, is there one decision or one specific thing that you did, you can look back and say, okay, because I did that or because I made that decision, like that really changed things for me? Was there a big breakthrough that you can really attribute to having the results that you've created so far?
I would have to say it would be originally leaving my comfortable job as a general manager working for a health club. But I think that the real reason that this all happened was the place I was working at, Justin, was actually going through a transition. They got bought out by another gym. And I was like, there's no freaking way that I'm going to go through this. I'm not even that happy, right? So I kind of jumped in before I had a plan. And I was kind of scary because after you were talking about, we touched on this, you said, was there a lot of self-doubt? Did you ever think you made the wrong decision? Well, about a month after that, realizing that like I wasn't, getting much business, I was like, man, I don't know if I made the right decision here. But that moment when I decided, I'm going to make this work one way or the other, that was really the reason that I've been able to do what I've been able to do over the last couple of years. Because I think that, if I never took that leap, I wouldn't have been able to learn a lot along the way, and it probably wouldn't have evolved into where it is now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and speaking to that, and you mentioned that, you left your comfortable job, which definitely takes courage, but you went into a completely new genre of, obviously you're still in fitness, but you are now owning it and the entrepreneur and running things and doing all of this new stuff, which you said you had no idea. So I'm curious, where did you go to get that help that you needed? Like, who are your trainers or coaches or authors, or where did you go to find that inspiration to learn how to be good at what it is that you're trying to do?
That's actually a great question. And it's speaking to me so much because I just remember so vividly what happened. So, I'm starting to run my own business, and I'm like, man, I really need to learn more about online marketing. And I remember coming across an online marketer. His name is Ryan Lee. And, fitness guy that he was actually one of the first guys that took a fitness business, a brick and mortar type business, online back in 1999. And, I followed his story. I got on his email list, and, I was just fascinated by his approach to marketing, this authentic, raw, vulnerable type of personality that was able to connect with so many. I mean, I almost felt like I was his friend, you know? And I was like, wow, like this guy's really doing it in a cool way. And that was what kind of introduced me to internet marketing and all these other mediums. You know, I found John Lee Dumas from a podcast, and I started listening to, you know, Entrepreneurial Journeys. And some of these guys are the real influence for me taking more risks and, you know, launching my online brand. So I'd have to attribute it to a couple guys. You know, I follow Darren Hardy, is a guy that I've really I consider like a mentor. I read a lot of his stuff. Ryan Lee on the online marketing department. And then, you know, so many different podcasters. When I got introduced to that medium, it just opened so many new doors. And also, it, you know, introduced me to all this amazing free content. And I joined communities. I got around like-minded people that were doing what I wanted to do. And I realized, wow, like there are so many people out there creating these online businesses where you're able to inspire the masses and, you know, release your message on a bigger scale. And that idea to me was just like, you know, the thing I needed to do. Once I realized like that was possible, it just opened so many new doors and it gave me so many new ideas. So really just getting introduced to people that were already doing what I was doing and then taking in that content on a consistent basis.
Nice. So you made the leap. You were questioning your decision to make that leap a couple months later. You know, did I make the right decision? And then from what it sounds like, just sort of immersed yourself in around the right trainers, the right coaches, the right people that could teach you what you wanted to know to learn the things that you needed to learn to make this happen. Because it was a decision at that point. You decided to make it happen. And that's something that, you know, we find a commonality that we find when talking with other successful entrepreneurs. Another commonality that I want to touch on with you is most successful entrepreneurs have rituals or habits that they're very, very strict about keeping, that they practice on a daily basis that really keeps them focused, keeps them moving forward consistently. And back in episode 11 of our show, we talked with Eric Thomas, and he sort of gave me an insight about the power of an actual ritual, how it creates muscle memory, just doing the ritual itself consistently, that like it gets easier over time. So I'd like to get an insight of what are some of your rituals? What are some of your habits that you practice on a regular basis that helps you, you know, get these above average type of results and do that consistently?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I definitely would consider myself somewhat of a scatterbrain sometimes. So if I don't have a ritual, I can be all over the place, you know, so I'm very strict around what I do. So I have a daily check-in and check-out. That's something that's non-negotiable. So at the beginning of the day, we'll start there. You know, I get out of bed. First thing I do is I you know, practice gratitude. I think about 3 things that I'm grateful for. I have a journal. You know, I try to write down ideas, and I also try to remember, you know, the things in my life that, you know, I'm thankful for and grateful for. From there, there's a couple things that I do every single morning. I will first do a little bit of exercise, you know, get my blood going, get my endorphins going. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You know, I talk to a lot of people that are like, well, I don't have time to work out in the morning. Literally, a 10 to 20 minute workout will do wonders for your daily energy. And, you know, it gets your creativity going too, right? In a way that a lot of people would never think about. And then I'll have my green drink. So I start every day with a smoothie, and I'll add, you know, healthy fats into it, some protein, some leafy greens, and a little bit of fruit to kind of put the right nutrients in my body. And then I spend some time on my personal development, which is non-negotiable as well. Now, depending on the day, I might not have enough time to get to a lot of things, but I either read or I write. You know, one of the two. You know, I'll listen to an audiobook, or I'll physically actually read, or, you know, I'll write down some things that are going on in my life, kind of do a brain dump on paper, and then finally I will then I'll do a check-in. So what I'll do is the night before, I'll analyze how the prior day went, and I will write down the 3 big things that I want to accomplish the following day. So I revisit that in the morning to make sure that I stay on track, you know, and if I don't do this, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I'll start checking my email inbox, you know, I'll jump on social media. I'll start doing things that, like, they aren't a priority, right? So by visiting those big three things that I was able to look at the night before, I'll start my day getting the most important things done. So always exercise, nutrition, a little bit of personal development, and then really sitting down, getting those big three things done before I do anything else. And that, I mean, it happens almost every day. I will say that, like, you know, occasionally I'll fall off and I'll notice like a huge difference. Like, I'll get work done still because I have a lot to do, but it won't, I mean, like, I'll get so little done in so many different areas. You know, I'll spread myself thin. I won't work on what's a priority. And I feel all discombobulated and all over the place. So I think it's so important to develop some type of daily ritual into your life, you know, if you want to have success and you want to maximize your productivity.
Yeah, I would agree. And just one quick side note on that. Yeah, I love how you said, and I feel the same way. Like, if I don't do it, who knows what I'll end up doing? Like, if I don't do the check-in,
exactly.
who knows where my morning is going to go if I don't take control of it first thing whenever I get up. So I love that.
Yeah, so important, you know?
Yeah, because a lot of times it's, you know, you'll go into, things will happen, you'll go into reactive mode, and then you've lost hours. And if you don't have that right set in front or front and center for you, it certainly can get off. So, you know, I want to switch for a second. And of all the different things that you've done, and you've been in different areas and trying different things, question is, what would you consider to be the best investment that you've ever made along the way, and why would you consider that?
Ah, man. You know, so there's been quite a few investments that I've made that I'm trying to think what would be the best one. There's a couple of people that I follow, you know, a lot online. I recently hired a coach to work with. So, you know, I join a lot of online communities. I'm a part of a couple different groups. Justin, I know we're connected in, you know, one of the same groups online too, a podcasting group. That was a great investment for me. But really, when I started working with a coach and having that more one-on-one direction, that was a game changer, you know, for me. And it was a big investment. But when I make a big investment, I am so much more likely to stick with it because I'm like, wow, like I just put so much money down and I take things a lot more seriously. And having that guidance, like, you know, there's a lot of programs online, but recently, you know, having someone to hold me accountable on a weekly basis, knowing that I had to check in with him, knowing that I put a big chunk of money down, that's been a great thing for me. You know, it's really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I've started to do things that I probably wouldn't have done. And that's because, one, obviously, you know, I want to take things to the next level or I would have not invested in the program. But two, it's like, man, if you put that type of, if you invest in yourself, especially a high dollar amount, you're going to take action. You know, you're going to be a lot more likely to follow the blueprint, follow the steps, because you know that, like, you just, you know, put so much money down. So that's been a huge help. And I would say to anyone listening, like, if you can, like, get a mentor of some sort and let them help you. You know, you can model success. You don't have to recreate the wheel. I know a lot of people probably come on the show and say something similar, but it's just so true, and it's so prevalent in my life, guys, because I was the guy that tried to do everything on my own, and I never wanted to invest, you know? And, you know, I got online and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to create an ebook today, and now I'm going to create my online course, and now I'm going to do this and do that. And I was like, wow, like I am not getting anywhere with this. Just having someone that's already been to the place where you want to get to lay out the blueprint is so helpful. And you can obviously tweak things along the way and put your spin on things, but it's really helpful to just have someone to check up on you and give you new ideas on your journey.
That's definitely a common theme that we hear whenever we ask that question. You know, the education, the mentors that have been there, the people, you know, investing in the people, that seems to always be the default for, you know, hey, that's one of the best investments that I've made, because it really can give you that, you know, those quantum leaps in business and like the thing that you're trying to do, like you can get there so much faster when you have somebody that's already been there just saying, oh no, turn here, do this, turn here. Like it's so much easier. So
Well, yeah, and I just want to touch on one more thing because I'm so passionate about this concept. I work in the fitness industry, for example, and I run groups and, transfer all these different types of contests and things I'll do. If I do something for free, no one takes it seriously. If I say, hey, look, I'm looking for 10 people to do this 21-day program, and I literally give them really valuable information that I would charge a high dollar amount to someone if I was working with them one-on-one through one of my coaching programs, they don't take it seriously, because there's no investment. No one invested in themselves, whereas I could give that same information to someone and they invest their money into it and they're going to take it a lot more seriously. So oftentimes, when you invest in yourself, you're more likely to take action. So that's another thing that I think is, super important to understand.
Absolutely. So
completely
you talked about,
agree.
Yeah, you're in fitness, and I want to talk about a little bit about like sort of more specifically about what you do. And I know you've got a great community, and you talk about doing these challenges. You're really good at actually managing the community. People look like they're having fun in there. It's really awesome what you've put together and what you've got going on. But my question is, before we go there, why are you in this business? Like why is it that you do what you do? What drives you at the big picture level?
I want to help people on a bigger scale. That was the reason that I really got into this whole online thing. But behind fitness, Justin, I see so much that's wrong with the industry and people trying to do it the wrong way. I used fitness and personal development to not only get in better physical shape, but to keep my mind strong during a lot of heartache and things that happened in my life. And also, I realized like how valuable these tools are for so many different areas of your life. If you take care of yourself physically, like you're going to excel in so many different things that aren't associated with fitness. And I didn't see enough people talking about the mindset components of fitness. You join a gym, for example, or you join some fitness program and they talk about the fat loss pill or the 7-day cleanse or, whatever it may be. And that's fine. If people want to go that route, that's cool. But I just realized that there was so much more to that. And that's why I felt so intrigued to start a fitness type business that really dived into the personal development aspects of taking care of yourself too, right? Routines, creating habits, really making this a sustainable approach and lifestyle. And that was the reason that I wanted to do this. That's what drives me and fuels me. I knew that doing this offline, I wasn't going to be able to reach enough people. And I really wanted to be able to connect with people online, reach people on a bigger scale, bring them into my world and say, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to get in great shape and look good, but I'm also going to get you to feel your best and want to do this on a daily basis and work in habits into your life on a daily basis that are going to make you successful in so many different areas. And that's really hard for people to buy into, right? So I knew that if I was able to somehow create some type of community, which is still very much a thing in the process, Justin, that I was going to be able to get my message out to more people and hopefully have them buy into this.
I love it. So, one thing that I heard, I believe, Brenda, we heard Eben Pagan talk about this. He was interviewing Richard Branson, and one of the questions that came up was, what's the number one habit that you have implemented in your life that you consider to be the contributor for your success? And without thinking, split second, his answer was exercise and fitness. That's where he went to, because there's so many correlations. And I don't think it's, I'm not surprised that a lot of the highly successful people and the high performers that are just getting a bunch of stuff done and feeling great and doing amazing things, they all have a very consistent, they keep a sharp mind on their health and their fitness, and they have a very consistent routine, and like there's a focus there. So I definitely see. I know in my own personal life, it's what makes me feel better. Like I feel kind of just sluggish if I don't have something like that in place. And so I think that there's so many correlations for like business and success, and any goal that you have set for yourself, like whenever you can incorporate an element of fitness with it, alongside it, and have that be part of one of the habits that you live your life by. I think that's part of the secret. I think that's part of the whole, the ingredients that you need to have to really make the process as easy as possible. So I love what you're doing, man. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know, the hustle. And yeah, one quick thing is like, you have to make time for yourself, on a daily basis to just reflect, exercise, whatever that may be. A lot of people preach hustle, and maybe they've had success with that. But me and you, Justin, we're on the same page. Like, there has to be time for you, right? Just to get in a better state and just feel better physically and mentally to be able to perform in other areas.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Brenda. It's all you.
Well, I was just going to say, for one thing, is that has made a huge impact for me personally, was taking that time for myself, thinking that I didn't have time to do that. And it's absolutely one of the most important things to do. So certainly. I'd love for you, Ian, to just share, one last parting piece of advice for our listeners who are, they're out there right now. They're on their success journey. They've got their ups. They've got their downs. What would you say to them to just help them achieve the results that they're looking for?
I think there's one thing that I preach a lot, and obviously, you're going to have to take calculated risks on your journey. So, obviously think about what you're doing, but if you've made the decision to be an entrepreneur, you're going at it. Keep on the track, realize two things. You are the CEO of your own life. So what I mean by that is, like, you're the decision maker. You control it. You're the captain of your own ship. So there's going to be haters that try to deter you away from what you're doing. It happens all the time. And there's so many people that let the opinions of other people determine, their next move. And, it's a real thing. Like, we fear what other people say. And you're going to have hardship. You're going to have struggle. Keep going. But follow your intuition and your own internal guidance system, right? Because if you don't, and you let other people kind of dictate your next move, you're going to look back 10 years down the road and wishing, like, you had another shot, another at bat, and regret. It's a terrible thing. Like, who wants to live with that? So if you're on that path right now, I know it's a bumpy road because I'm on it, and I still have, bumps, bruises, fears, all that BS that comes in my life on a daily and weekly basis, like I mentioned before. But just have the courage to follow your gut and your instinct, and you'll get to where you want to be.
Awesome. So for the listeners, this has been Ian Ryan. I want you to really think for yourself, what if this was the year that you finally lived that healthy, confident, and fearless life that you've always dreamed about? That's what Ian, that's his mission. That's what he helps people do. So where can they find you? If somebody's jiving with what you're saying, they want to check you out, they want to listen to your podcast, which I highly recommend. I was actually interviewed for the podcast. That's go check that episode out if you want. Where can they find you? Where's Ian at online?
Yeah, check out my website, fearlessandhealthy.com. You can also join my Facebook group. It's the Fearless and Healthy Community. Just really getting that group going now. And also, Justin, I'll link in the show notes page to a download for anyone. I basically, I've interviewed over 50 of, the top high performers in the world. And I did 10 of the best morning routines from over those 50 interviews and put them in a guide for people. So if you want to check that out or download that, just head over to my site. And it's been a pleasure. I really loved connecting with you guys. And I hope the listeners take away something from our chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Fearlessandhealthy.com. Go check it out. Ian, pleasure having you here, man. Brenda, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would definitely encourage people to go over there and look at that, but really figure out how fitness can fit into your life if it's not already, because you're exactly right. A lot of the qualities that you gain from fitness, not only just healthy, but mentally, all of those things that are encompassed will just help you be able to do exactly what you want to do a little bit better.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is a wrap for the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope your earballs enjoyed it as much as mine did. I'd like to give a special shout out and thanks again to Ian Ryan for coming on the show and giving such amazing value. If you got value from today's episode, we would love it if you would share it with someone else who you think will also enjoy it. Be sure and subscribe to the show on iTunes by going to results513.com/iTunes, or if Stitcher's more your thing, you can subscribe there at results513.com/Stitcher. And if you would like to get the full experience of today's episode, the notes, the links, the videos, everything, head on over to results513.com/116. Also, if you have not done so yet, do yourself a favor, run over to results513.com/show. Download your free gift. It's called the 15 Must-Have Tools to be Productive in Your Business. If you're a high performer, this is perfect for you, and I know you're going to love it. So go download it, read it, apply it, and start winning. We'll catch you in the next episode.